Hello everyone, welcome to Share My Idea. My name is Kelly Daniel. Today I'm going to create a login system with PHP. So I've already created the form. This is the sign up form, and this is the login page here. So there will be a link in the description for the starter files. So you can check the description. You'll see the starter files in my GitHub repo. So this is the folder, and this is the index.php, which is the login page. This is the signup.php, and this is style.css. This is the style.css file. So the link to all these files will be in the description. I've already created an autoloader file to load all our PHP classes into our workspace, and this is the database class and the database.class.php file. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to explain the autoloader file. This autoloader file is going to load all our PHP classes, and you can see this is the naming system. So this is the class name .class.php, which is enlisted here, class name .class.php. So any file in the classes folder will go with, and there is a class file, will be a classes/dbh.class.php. So first of all, we'll start with the sign up page. I'll just come to the header here. I'll come to the top of the page. I'll say includes. I'll go to the includes folder, then I will include my autoloader.php file. I'll also copy this and paste it here in my login page. That's the index.php file. So in my classes.php, I'll create one file. I will name it auth. That's for authentication.class.php. So I'll just open my PHP tags. I'll open my class, and I will say auth, and I will extend it. It will extend to the DBH. It will extend to the DBH class. So first thing I'll do is I'll create a public function, and this will be the sign up function. So this will be the sign up function. So I'll just echo class. So I'll just echo this so I can test if it's actually working. So I'll come here. I'll say autoloader. So I'll say this is the auth. So I will give the variable name will be auth. I will then say new auth. That's the class name. Then say auth to sign up. So if we go to the account page, you can see class is working, which means that our class here, our PHP class, our authentication class is working. So I will just give this file, this input field, a name. I'll say name equals to username. Give this name email, and name will be password, and name will be confirm password. And I'll give this our button a type, and it will be a submit button with name submit. So now in our authentication.class.php, I will say if is set, that is if $_post, because the form here, the method is post. The method is post. So I'll say if is set post, and I will say the button name, that's submit. If the button submit is clicked, I'll echo yes. So let's test it out. First, let's fill in these fields. At gmail.com. You can see yes, but there's one thing. Let me remove this required, because we are going to validate the form. We are going to validate the form with PHP. So first of all, the first thing I'll do is gather the variables. So I'll say username is equals to $_post username. So $email equals to post email. Password equals to $_post. Then confirm password equals to $_post. Confirm password. So these are all the variables from the form. So the next thing I'll do is I'll go to my PHP, my admin, and I'll create a new database. I'll say tutorial underscore login. I'll say create. So tutorial underscore login. So in my dbh.class.php, this database name is blank, so you can just put it here, tutorial underscore login. So now I've connected the database. So now I'll create a new folder, a new table, name it users table. So the first value here will be the ID, that will be auto incremented. So I'll give a new value, user ID. We'll create that one ourselves. We'll say username with long text. I prefer using long text. Email, long text. Password, long text. And time, long text. So I'll just save this query. So now this is our table with the ID, UID, username, email, password, and time. So now let's go back to our code. So the first thing we'll do is we'll start the validation. So I'll check if empty, if the fields are empty, username or empty, email or empty, password or empty, password, confirm password. Then I'll echo I will echo this tag. All fields are required. Let me give it a class name of danger. So let's go to our CSS file. The danger color red. So now let's test it out. All fields are required. So now the next thing we want to check is our email. So I will say, and when the first thing we need to check, we need to always check for error. So I'll say filter, I'll put exclamation sign and filter underscore var, filter underscore validate, and I'll put the email, then filter underscore validate underscore email. So if it's not valid, then we'll say invalid email. So I'll just fill in these fields. I'll put an invalid email. You can see invalid email. So the next thing we'll check for is our password. We'll check if both password match. Say password not equals to, that means if the password is not equals to confirm password, can they echo both password do not match? So we'll try again with a valid email, but I say both passwords do not match. So now if all these things are met and there's no error here, we'll then go for our else. So now in this else, the first thing we need to check is if this email already exists, so that two users won't have one email. So we'll say SQL is equals to, I'll come here and I'll go to SQL, say select all, where I'll just copy this query and I'll go here. We are using prepare statement to prevent MySQL injection. So I'll say where email is equal to, so I'll then say stmt this connect. So now this connect is coming from this dbh, which is here. This is the function connect. This is a protected function connect, and it's coming from the dbh. It's coming from the dbh, so that's why I can access the function. I'll say prepare, say SQL. Now time to execute the query. Execute, and I'll say email. So I will say if the query was successful, and I say if the query is greater than 0, that means if there is an existing email, it will send, let's say return email already taken. So two users can't have one email. So now else, that means if that's successful, we have to insert it. PHP is an interpreted language, so I can override the function here. So I'll say insert. I'll copy this query, I'll paste it here. But for now we don't have the required values that we need, so I'll create the user ID. I'll say bin to hex random bytes. This will generate a 12 character long random ID. And now time to hash the password. Password _ hash. So we just say password _ hash, and we'll say password. Most times you can just sort it and add any character here. So but when you can add any character here to sort it to increase the security, but I'm not going to sort the password here. I'll just put the password plain, and I'll be using password _default for the hash. So now time to fill in the values. So there are 6 fields here, so I need 6 placeholder. There are 5 fields here, so I need 5 placeholder. So I'll put the first placeholder 1 2 3 4, and that's 5. So now I'll just copy this code from here. Now I'll paste it here. But this time around, the first one will be UID, and the second one will be username, and the next will be email, and the last will be time. Password, next is password, and we'll put the hashed password, and next will be time. But for now we don't have the time variable, we don't have any time variable here, so let's create one. Goes to date, say year, month, and day. Say time. So these are time variable. I'll say if the query was successful. So let's come back to this sign up page here. I'll add $session. I'll start a PHP session here. So session _start. So I'll start a new session here. I'll still copy this and paste it here. Now I'll create a new file, home.php. I'll paste the session _start here, and I'll say h1 home page home page, and h1 welcome to your home page. I'll put logout.php. We'll create that file soon. Logout button, logout link. So now we'll say PHP and start the session here. So there's another code we need to add. We check if is set $_session UID. So we are checking if there is no session UID here. We'll throw in a header function with the location, index.php. So if the user is not logged in, it will send the user back to the index.php. So now I'll copy this code and place it in the index.php. I'll say if I'll remove the exclamation mark if the user is logged in. Let it redirect the user back to the home.php. I'll also paste this in the signup.php too. So if the user is logged in, it will redirect the user back. Then let's come back to the authentication. So now, since we've already started a session here, there's already session underscore start there. So now we'll just come here, I'll say session UID will be equal to the variable UID. That's the session UID will be equal to the variable UID. So now, after I've said that, we can set multiple values depending on what we got from the user. So now I'll just redirect the user location home.php. I'll redirect the user back to the home page. Now, if this code was not successful, I'll echo out an error occurred. So now let's test out our code. Syntax on line 43. Okay. So now put a username as Kelly Daniel and email. Let me add one more value. Session username will be equal to $username. So now say username will be Kelly Daniel, email will be example@gmail.com, password will be 123. I'll confirm the password. Now sign up, and I've been redirected to the home page. So welcome to your home page, and you can see the values have been inserted here. You can see my credentials, and you can see the password was hashed and the date. So now there's something I want to add also. I want to say welcome, let's say PHP echo $_session username. Let's say welcome Kelly Daniel to your home page. So now let's create the logout page. That's logout.php. Okay, now this page is going to be very simple. So we'll first of all start the session. We'll unset the session. And then we'll destroy the session. Then after those, we'll then return the user to the login page. But before that, let me just finish this. Login.php. And that's all for this page. So but first, let me test out something. Let's try navigating to the login page. okay, the index page. You can see we are redirected to the home page. If you go to the sign up page, we were still redirected to the home page. So if you are not logged in, you can't access the home page. If you are logged in, you can't access the other page unless you log out. So I will say index because our login is our index page. Our login is our index page. So now if I reload and I click log out, I've been redirected. So if I try navigating to the home page, I've been redirected back. So for this login page now, it's going to be very similar with the sign up page, just some few changes. So now I'll just copy this here, now I'll paste it here. Now I'll say new auth. Instead of login, I'll say, instead of sign up, I'll say login. Then I'll give this thing name to be equals to email, and name equals to password, and here name equals to confirm score password. Made a typo here. Confirm underscore password. So now I'll go to my auth page and I'll just create the function login. So this time around we'll be copying some few things here, so I'll just copy this way up, now paste it here, and let me close this if variable. Now I'll remove this username because in the login page there's no username there, and I'll give this button type will be submit, and the name will be submit. You can give this name anything you want, but let it correspond with the name that you place here. And then just remove this one. So now let's start. First I'll just copy this whole part here because they are pretty much the same. To save time, I'll just copy it and paste it here, but I'll remove the username validation process. So check email, check password, and confirm password. Now we check if both password match and we'll validate the email. So if all these conditions are met, let's create our else statement. For this time around, I'll copy here, I'll copy here, and I'll paste it. Now first of all, let's start closing. I'll close this, close two more brackets. I'll close this and I'll say select all from users where email, where this email is equals to that, and if it's greater than 2, if it's greater than 0, we'll echo this statement here. We'll say if it's greater than 0, then we'll run our query, but if it's not, we'll say email does not exists. So now let's test this out. I'll put in an email that does not exist at gmail.com. I'll put in valid passwords, and it didn't work. Let's reload. Remove the required. Now let's test it out. We'll see. I'll just put email that does not exist. Put right password. Email does not exist. Now if I put an email that exists, now put wrong passwords. Say both passwords do not match, and you can see the validation works. So now the next thing we check, I'll come here. So if the email exists, now let's validate the password. But first I'll just run. I'll select the row, the whole row. So I'll just say stmt to fetch. This fetch now is going to fetch the first row. It's not going to, but if I add fetch all, I will need to use a loop. But with fetch, I don't need a loop. So now with this fetch now, I will then say if row. I will then say if password underscore verify. So I'll put the first value I'll put is the normal password. Then I will get the password from the database. So if password underscore verify, if it's successful, but I'll check for error first. If it's not, I'll say I'll echo incorrect password. Incorrect password. Else, because this password underscore verify returns a boolean value, is either true or false. So I've checked for false. Now it's time to check for true. So if it's correct, then we'll start our session. So the first thing I'll just do is session. I'll give the session variables. I'll say username will be equal to $row and username. Then I'll give the session UID. That's session UID. And I'll then this will be the header to redirect the user to the home page. So this will only happen if the password was correct. This else will only happen if the password was correct, because the first thing that we checked for was error. So now if the password was correct, it will assign this variable to the session and will be redirected to the home page. But now, so I will put a correct email, but I'll put two corresponding password but not correct with what is in the database. You can say incorrect password. So if I put 123, because that was the example, say 123 and login. Something's off here. Okay, I've seen the mistake here. So say equal to, we didn't give the row UID, we didn't assign that variable. So let's try it again. 123, and you can see we have been redirected to the home page. If we log out, we can log back in with the password, and we have been redirected. So now on that thing, let's test out if we can create an account with the same email twice. You can see emails already taken. So this is how to create a login system and sign up system with PHP, MySQL, object oriented, and validate them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can click the like button and subscribe for more. Thank you.